Okay, hey guys, so this is the 11th part of the Minecraft mod tutorial. So this part we're going to do a custom mob, and at that we're going to do an enemy mob that spawns at night. So I'm going to do this video slightly different from all the other videos. Usually I type all the stuff out and then tell you about it while I'm going through it and at the end. This time there is a hell of a lot of stuff that's all basically taken from the mobs that already exist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting between, cutting over the bit where I type it all out, and I'm just going to explain it because there's a lot of it, and I'd like to do this in one video rather than two because it's not as big as the chest that was alright to make it two, but this time it's not necessarily big, it's just a lot of stuff, so that's how I'm going to do it. So first what you want to do is you want to add in a couple of folders. So in your assets folder where your textures are, you want one that's called models. Now this one isn't such a strict way to do it. This is the way I did it. I've got models. I'm going to make a troll, so it's going to be that, the troll face thing, and then inside that you want your texture, and I've got the texture open here. You either want to make your own texture, you can download one. This is just one I found on the skins website, so I've downloaded that. Okay. Also, to make the model for the mob, you can use that Techni thing that sets the rotation for you, but I'm just going to copy it off the one that's already there, so you just extend one of them and then you don't really have to do much to it. But if you want to make your own from scratch, you can use the Techni thing to generate the model class for you, and then you just have to do a little more stuff to it. Okay, so right, so you need to put your model thing in there, somewhere around there. Also, you want to put some sound in, and inside the sound I've got Troll Death, Troll Heart and Troll Live, and that's just 3 sounds that I've downloaded from an open source website somewhere that, and it's OGG files, which is the standard sound file for Minecraft, but with Forge you can do WAV files as well, so you don't have to put these in, but I just searched for these. So they're not really that good, but it's just to show you that you can do them. Okay, so I guess we should get started. So first I'm going to go for the main class from this. Everything else is quite small. This is the big thing, and it's the entity class, so I'm going to call it entity troll. Okay. And first I want this to extend entity mob, because we're going to make a mob kind of thing, and this is what the hostile things extend. Okay, that will moan, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to put a few things in. So I'm first, you need to put an attribute field in, so I'll be back when I've typed that out. Okay, so this thing is an attribute that I've taken from zombies, so that's why it says zombie.spawn reinforcements, but I couldn't get it to work without putting it in, and it's something to do with obviously spawning more entities around the entity that already exists. So I've just left it in. One thing I forgot to mention is because quite a lot of this video is going to be me explaining stuff and not typing it out, what I'll do is I'll take this class, because this is the only one that this is really going to happen to, and I'll put it on Pastebin or something and post a link in the description so you can just go and copy and paste the things that you need, because it's quite annoying having to type all this stuff out. Okay, so for now we're going to have to do the constructor. Like entity troll. This constructor will take a world object, so that's that. Okay, so first just get rid of the super thing so that in case there's anything up there that needs to be done. There's a thing called set size, and it allows you to set the size of the mob. I'm going to take 0.9, so it's almost the width, and the height will be 1.3. Just random numbers that I put in for testing. Let's import world as well. Okay. This is now where you get to add the tasks for the mob to do. Now, there's quite a lot of normal tasks, and then there's things called target tasks as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type one out, and then one of each out, and then I'll type the rest out off camera, just to kind of speed this up. So this is what you tell it to do. So let's go for, so there's something called tasks, which is brought to us by Entity Mob that you can use, and you want to add tasks to this. The first number you want to give it is a priority, so the lower the number, the higher the priority. So you want to put the things that you want it to do first over other things here. So I'm going to put a 0 priority, so it's the most thing, and then you give it the new, and then the object that you want. Now there's a package down net Minecraft entity AI, and all the things that you can put are down there. So if there's something that you want, have a look down there, and it might be there. Okay, so new entity AI attack on collide. That takes an entity of this kind. It then takes the entity you want it to attack, so entity player. So it will attack on collide with a player. And it takes a chance, 1.0D, so double. And false, which is the oops, what the hell? Let's, have I spelt that right? No, I haven't. It's 2 L's. Then I can import this. Okay. Import entity player as well. And I'm not sure what the false does at the moment, but that's what the zombie does, so I felt that it was okay to keep the 0 there. Now the other things are the target tasks, so are called target tasks, and you also add a task to this. You also give it a priority. I'm going to start this one at 1, but these can have different priorities, but I'm just showing you can do it starting at 1. It doesn't matter really, as long as the ones that you want to do before are of a lower priority in the same kind of list. So this one is kind of attack the nearest target or get hurt by the target. So new entity AI hurt by target. This and true. I'm taking this exactly from the zombie class. What I'm going to do though is, instead of doing this up here, I'm going to import all of these because it's much easier and I don't have to sit and import them all individually. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put in the rest that I've got for now, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've added some more stuff. So I've added the ability for it to swim, wander, watch the closest player at a distance of 8 blocks, and look idle, so it just looks around, and also it spots the nearest attackable player. Okay, so that's all the tasks I'm going to add to that just now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to have to do is put some more code in. So there's the new AI thing that all the mobs have, and you just have to make sure that's set to true just in case it is not set by true to true by default. So just is AI enabled, return true. Just make sure that there's no problem with that. Okay, now I have a weird function that I'm not going to bother typing out again. I'm going to cut to it, and it does all the attribute stuff, and it's got a hell of a lot of numbers in it that don't mean anything. So I will be back when I've typed that out. Okay, so that's the function there, and I'm not really going to try to explain what that number there means. I've no idea. This is the first time really from going through all the classes in the game that there's a lot of these fields with numbers and all the random numbers here that don't really make much sense. This seems to be the worst of them anyway. Okay, now I'm going to deal with all the sounds. Okay, so there's get living sound, hurt sound, death sound, and also the sound volume. which is just how loud it is. So let's do the sound volume first. So protected float, and it's called get sound volume, and it just returns a number between 0 and 1 as a float. So I'm going to return 0.6. So it's quite loud, but not, deafening. The next three methods are protected string methods, and it's you give it the location of your file. So we have got the files here. So that's in Minecraft Assets tutorial mod sound. So we can do tutorial mod colon and then the name of the file to do that. Okay, so protected string, and let's do get living sound first. And you want to return a string that says this is called tutorial mod. So this is the mod that we're using, and where's the file? It's called troll, and then this one's live. Okay, and then I need to do that for get hurt sound, which is when it gets hit. So living sound is just the kind of ambient noise that happens when you just walk past them. So the zombies make the kind of growling sound, and the skeletons, I don't know what the skeletons do. Return tutorial mod and troll hurt. Okay, and then the last one is get deaf sound. And you should probably guessed we want to do tutorial underscore mod troll deaf. These sounds, as I mentioned earlier, are rubbish, but they'll do. Okay, so I've done the sound volume and the three different sounds that can happen for the mob. Okay, so next what I want to do is I want to tell it to drop something when it is killed. Now this doesn't always happen. It's int get drop item ID. So it doesn't seem to always happen, but quite a lot of the time when I've been killing my mob that I tested with it, it dropped my item. So it's a troll mob, so it's not really going to drop anything useful. And probably the most unuseful item I could find in the item menu was a poisonous potato. I don't know really what I would do with that. So, and then you want to give it the item ID. So there we go. Our mob drops a poisonous potato. The next method is a massive one, and this is the method that handles the attacking. So I'm going to yet again write this off camera, and I'll be back in probably around 5 minutes when I type all this out. Okay, so I left this basically the way it was because the attacking from the mob perspective is quite well done, and I didn't really feel like it needed changed. So what this does is it takes the damage source, so the damage source is where damage comes from, and another float part 2, which doesn't make any sense as usual. Just check the super to make sure that's all right. If not, returns false, because the super class of entity mob will probably be entity, I think. Will we check? Will that work? No, I'd need to actually go and check the class. Okay, so if that doesn't fail at that point, then we need to get an entity living base, which is just kind of like the player, and it gets the attack target of this troll. Now you need to do some checking. So if the base is null, so if there's no target, and the entity to attack is an entity living base, then you want to set the base to be the entity to attack, but cast it to entity living base. So that just means you're actually just taking you're just setting this up really. If it's null and the source is an entity living base, then you also want to set the base to be an entity living base, but you want it to be the source this time. And then we get into this big bit. So if the base is not equal to null, so if we've set the base up, to be a target, and the world difficulty setting is greater than or equal to 3, which I believe is hardcore, maybe. I think 3 is hardcore. And then you need a double rand next float, so it's a random floating point number is less than this strange function that involves that really weird attribute up the top. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of this in this video. Mobs seem to be some kind of dark magic, and I have no idea why there's so many of these things, but I can't do anything about it. So we need a position of our mob, X, Y, and Z. And then you want to spawn an entity troll, well, not spawn it, you want to create one using the world object. We want to loop round 50 times, and we want to add some random numbers. Well, we want to do some calculations, really. You do add onto I, J, and K position. And what that does is that then we'll choose a position for the mob to fly to when it gets hit. And then it makes sure that the block that it's going to move to has a solid surface, and the block light value is low enough for the monster to be put there, and it puts it there. It then checks for collisions using the bounding box, which is present in all the entities. So that's just a field there that they've got. You can also get the bounding boxes for the troll, its bounding box, and make sure it's empty. So you make sure the collision detection doesn't flag up anything. And also make sure that there's no liquid inside the bounding box of your troll, because the liquid would move the monster elsewhere, especially if it was like water, it would move it away. If all that's true, then you want to spawn the troll where it is. So what you do is you take the troll, you spawn it in the other place. This is really strange, this bit. You're setting your attack target to yourself, which makes no sense whatsoever. And then you've got these things again, attribute modifiers for zombie reinforcements. Really, what I'll do is I'm going to take all these things about zombies out after the video. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to break it in the middle of a video recording. But after this, I'm going to take all these random bits of rubbish out and see if the mob acts the same. Or I'm going to take things out one by one and see at what point it breaks, and then put the stuff back in that I need. And then I'll update. I'll just put a comment under the video saying, take away all this rubbish, maybe, if it's if that's okay. And then inside there, you want to break out once that happens. Okay. Basically, what it is it tries 50 times to get a block for the mob to go to. And after that, after it finds one and puts it in it, and does all this random stuff, breaks out of the loop, then you want to hundreds of brackets and return true because this attack has been successful. Okay, so that's the attacking done. And what will we get on to next? Okay, so this is one I'm actually going to type out because it's quite small. On living update is the thing that updates the state of the troll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it similar to the night trolls, apart from the creeper. Night monsters, apart from the creeper, where this mob's going to go on fire if it's daytime. So public void on living update. Doesn't take any parameters at all, and we need to check now some stuff about the world. So we've got world object, which is world obj. Dot. Okay, now we want to test if it's daytime. So if it's daytime, then we want to think about putting the troll on fire. And this remote thing, need to make sure it's not a remote world. Inside here. Now you want to get the brightness, so let's get the brightness of the world, and this takes a parameter 1.0f. I think that's a base, I'm sure. Yeah, I guess that's a base. Then what you want to do is do the test to make sure that it can be set on fire. So basically, is the block above it, or can the block that the entity's standing on see the sky? So is it covered over by anything? No. And also if the brightness is high enough, and also some random element, because the entities don't seem to go on fire all the time, they seem to kind of randomly get damage taken off them. So this is something, yet again, taken from the zombie class. So if the F is greater than 0.5, and the rand that's in almost every class, we want to get a float from that using next float, and then times it by 30.0f is less than, and then it's f minus 0.4, and then outside the bracket times 2.0. Okay, so that's the random thing and the brightness. And world obj dot can block see the sky. So this is going to take the x, y, and z, but we need the math helper, and we want to put the floor double of pos x, pos y, and pos z, which is what happens with entities. So this is going to be a lot of lines here. Math helper dot floor double pos y, and we want to do the same with z. Let's move that down again. Oops, that's not what I want. I want to put bracket there. If all of that is true, then you want to set fire to it. So set fire, and then you give it a number, which is the damage it takes, and I'm going to do 8, because I have seen on like the Tekkit mods, when the damage comes up as a number, kind of bouncing off the mob. It's usually something around 8 that gets taken off, so I thought I'd leave that as it is. There's another thing that's kind of like update. It's called on update, and this is just to move like the position and stuff, and we don't need to do anything particular, so we just want to call the super function to make sure it does everything like its parent entity. Okay. Well, yes, I'm going to type this one out as well. So this one is to attack an entity as a mob. So this is attacking another one. So it's a public boolean method because it returns true if the attack was if the attack was successful. Not successful in that it hit the entity, just successful in actually going through. So it's called attack entity as mob, and you give it an entity to attack. Okay. We want a flag from this is the flag that you're going to return. This is true or false, and it's super.attack entity as mob. And you just give it to entity as well, and I'm going to have to import entity. Come on. Nope, not that one. Yeah, don't do that one, that's wrong. It's that one there. Okay. This I'm going to put in the same thing for if the mob is holding something. This mob's not going to hold anything, but if it did, then it's better to have this in anyway. So if the flag, which means if the flag is true, and get held item, equals null, so if it doesn't have anything that's hand, and if it's burning, and run.next float where are we? Run.next float is less than, we need to cast float. No, that's too long for this line. Ah, come on. There we go. And what we're casting to float is the difficulty setting multiplied by a factor of 0.3. And yet again, that's something that was added into the game. And it's one of those things that I don't want to mess with, because oh, that's not going to be that, that's going to be a bracket, and then entity.setFire. I guess this just this is actually something that's special about the attack. So the super.attack entities mob does the attack, and then this is just showing you if it's got a burning item on it. Then that's what it does. So that's something that really, if you're just making a kind of normal mob, you don't need those lines there. You just want to, you could just return super.attack entities mob, and it'll return true or false whether that happens or not. And then I want to return the flag. Okay. And we continue on. We want to tell it what kind of creature it is. So probably enum creature attribute. So this is what type of creature it is. So you've got undead for zombie, and you've got other things that I will show you in a wee second. Creature attribute. Get creature attribute. Okay, and you just want to return. I'm going to import this first. That one. Return, and you want to go for enum creature attribute because it's an enum, which is a kind of list. I think I mentioned that last video or something like that. Attribute dot, and then you see what you've got: arthropod, undead, undefined. I'm going to go undefined because you really don't know what this thing is. Okay. Another thing that can happen is you can have a rare drop from a mob. So in the instance of zombies, it can drop a carrot or a potato or something like that. Protect void. Drop, rare drop it's called. Now you don't have to tell it how rare the things are. It takes a power 1, which I'm not going to use, and isn't used in the other classes either. You don't have to tell it how rare these drops are, it's just you tell it. There's different cases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a random number that's generated inside here, and it'll have a couple of different outcomes. So if the random number's 1, it'll drop something, you know. So I'm going to switch. I did a switch last time, so you should know what that does if you watched that. And I'm going to do, yeah, let's do 2. So that's 0 and 1. Because remember, it goes up to, but not including the number in the brackets. Right, so case 0, what should we return? Well, we're dropping items, okay? So I need to give it the item ID and the amount of stuff. Let's drop, what else can we drop? A bed. Oh, I need the item ID there. Silly me. And then, as usual, in a switch you need the break after that. I'm just going to do it in one line for each of these. Drop item. Keep it in line with the troll kind of thing. Let's see what else is useless. Yeah. Let's drop an arrow. An arrow's pretty useless without a bow. And we'll only give you 1 as well. Break. Okay. That's us. Really, I don't need the break there, so I can take that away because that's the last case. So it's not going to go on to anything else if that happens. Okay.